Donald Trump is once again publicly lashing out at the Fox propaganda network, but this time it's because they are airing and covering a fantastic speech by former First Lady Michelle Obama, and we have to talk about it. But before we do, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, friends, I've got several clips to show you here. Michelle Obama, who, much like her husband, is a masterful rhetorician, a gifted public speaker. She gave a blockbuster public speech. It was passionate, it was fiery. We're going to get into it. But first, even more fun, is Donald Trump's triggered response to this speech. And also, Fox News. Fox News is catching strays of all people, of all networks, because they're airing the speech. They're covering the speech because they, too, respect Michelle Obama's public speaking prowess. So this is Donald Trump. Fox News spends far too much time promoting the Democrats, their surrogates, and their agenda. Today, I watched over and over again an angry and totally out of control Michelle Obama trying to save the dying campaign of Comrade Kamala Harris. I'm leading in Michigan by a lot because of great support from auto workers, Arab Americans, Jewish Americans, and all other patriots. But Fox refuses to put up those polls. Fox also plays more negative commercials with and ads promoting the other side than is even imaginable. Our ads on Fox News are always a big deal to negotiate. They want us to change and weaken our content, but we put them on CNN and MSNBC with no problems or changes. It's hard to believe I'm leading by so much. So what's interesting is Donald Trump gives the game away. So it would be, I guess, one thing if it turned out that non-Fox News networks wouldn't have Trump ads. But here he says, actually, no, CNN and MSNBC actually air Trump ads. They put Trump content up. The so-called liberal mainstream media, they put Trump content up. And it's not that Fox won't put Trump content up. It's that Trump is upset that they're airing things like the Michelle Obama speech and that they're putting up negative ads against him. So I want you to understand this. Trump says that the rest of the world will actually do what he wants and put up his ads. But he doesn't want right-wing media to put up ads against him. He wants to have his cake and eat it too. He wants to be able to slam Kamala Harris and the Democrats anywhere and everywhere, Fox, CNN, MSNBC, but he doesn't want Fox to put up negative ads against him. And we've covered that in separate videos where he's begged publicly on air Fox to not put up negative ads against him. This man is such a pathetic, hypocritical loser. We should make fun of him constantly. This deserves your contempt. But as I said, and as Trump said in the beginning of his rant, he's really upset about Michelle Obama. So I thought it might be worthwhile to actually look at the speech that former First Lady Michelle Obama gave, or at least some segments of it. And we're going to play these clips and unpack them together.
All of you, because right now, as you know, this race is close. It's too close for my liking. And I came out here to Michigan because I am someone who takes her own advice to heart. I know that if we want to help this country finally turn the page on the politics of hatred and division, we can't just sit around and complain. No, we've got to do something. If we want to usher in the next generation of American leadership, we have got to do something. If we want to elect someone with a character that is worthy of the Oval Office, someone with the strength of heart to guide our country to a better day, we have got to what?
She's so good at this. It's kind of like a companion to what her husband, President Obama, will say when people boo. Like if he says something and, points out something about Donald Trump and people boo Trump at Obama's rallies, the former president will say, "Don't boo," and then he'll pause and they'll shout, "Vote." He says, "Don't boo, vote." They won't hear your boos. They will hear your votes. More from Michelle Obama.
She's filling arenas in a way we haven't seen for years. She's building a remarkable campaign in record time, dominating her opponent so thoroughly in the debate, he was too scared to face her again. Kamala, she's putting herself out there fearlessly, facing down even her harshest critics. She's seeking out Republicans to find common ground. And unlike her opponent, she's not ducking interviews or cowering in safe spaces only with fawning audiences. No, she's showing us what a sane, stable leader looks like. She's not losing her train of thought or stumbling over her words. And she's doing it all with vigor and with grace. That's because Kamala Harris is a grown-up. And Lord knows we need a grown-up in the White House.
She's so good. You can tell already, based on these comments, that this is why Donald Trump is so triggered by former First Lady Obama. Well, unfortunately for Donald, it gets a lot worse.
I'm deeply concerned, and I'm talking to everybody out there, that too many of us are still confused and buying into the lies and distortions from people who do not have our best interest at heart. So I want to address some of these concerns head on. Because when you lay out the options, this choice isn't even close. But whether it's online or in the media or in our social circles, there are folks who say they're not sure about Kamala. They accuse her of not providing enough policy detail. Some wonder, do we really know her? Is she too aggressive? Is she not aggressive enough? There are folks sowing seeds of doubt about whether she's who she appears to be. Now, don't get me wrong. Voters have every right to ask hard questions of any candidate seeking office. But can someone tell me why we are once again holding Kamala to a higher standard than her opponent? We expect her to be intelligent and articulate, to have a clear set of policies, to never show too much anger, to prove time and time again that she belongs. But for Trump, we expect nothing at all. No understanding of policy, no ability to put together a coherent argument, no honesty, no decency, no morals.
This one was the best part of the speech for me personally. This is the one that resonated the most because, again, this is something I complain about a lot on this channel. And quite frankly, I genuinely believe it's something you all should be fed up with too if you're not. I understand it's not something we can immediately address, but it has to constantly be on the back of our minds. We have to act with purpose to resolve this. There is a double standard here. I am open to whatever standard people want. I'm at least open to it. I'm not automatically saying that whatever standard you have is the one I will accept, but at the very least, have a standard for everyone. So if you expect in-depth policy wonk dissertations in the form of debates, if you expect your political candidates during 5, 10, 15-minute interviews to speak substantively at length about policy, I totally understand. That is a reasonable expectation to have, but you should have it of both candidates. If instead what you have is an expectation that Kamala Harris and Kamala Harris alone has to speak substantively about policy, but Trump doesn't, you're a hypocrite. You're unprincipled. That's just a fact. Donald Trump benefits from double standards and asymmetry. The Republican Party writ large does as well. And it's exhausting, it's irrational, it's stupid, it's unprincipled, it's hypocritical. And that attitude deserves contempt. Democrats should have a standard and hold Democrats and Republicans to it. Republicans should have a standard and hold Republicans and Democrats to it. But instead, what we see is that there's a greater expectation imposed on Vice President Harris, and really Democrats in general, but Vice President Harris in this particular instance. And Donald Trump is graded on a curve. This takes a difficult task for our party, the Democratic Party, a very difficult task when you consider all the other institutional advantages Republicans have, and it makes that difficult task almost impossible. It's ridiculous, and we should fight against it every damn day in every damn chance we get.
So I hope you'll forgive me if I'm a little frustrated that some of us are choosing to ignore Donald Trump's gross incompetence while asking Kamala to dazzle us at every turn. I hope that you'll forgive me if I'm a little angry that we are indifferent to his erratic behavior, his obvious mental decline, his history as a convicted felon, a known slumlord, a predator found liable for sexual abuse. All of this while we pick apart Kamala's answers from interviews that he doesn't even have the courage to do, y'all.
She's so good at this. And again, 100%, she has every right to be frustrated. And then the last thing, I don't know if we're going to play the whole thing because this part's 3 minutes long, but I do want you to hear some of this. Former First Lady Michelle Obama makes a very risky, but I would argue completely justified and important challenge to men. I'll leave it at that. We'll play the clip.
So to the men who love us, let me just try to paint a picture of what it will feel like if America, the wealthiest nation on earth, keeps revoking basic care from its women, and how it will affect every single woman in your life. Your girlfriend could be the one in legal jeopardy if she needs a pill from out of state or overseas, or if she has to travel across state lines because the local clinic closed up. Your wife or mother could be the ones at higher risk of dying from undiagnosed cervical cancer because they have no access to regular gynecological care. Your daughter could be the one too terrified to call the doctor if she's bleeding during an unexpected pregnancy. Your niece could be the one miscarrying in her bathtub after the hospital turned her away. And this will not just affect women, it will affect you and your sons. The devastating consequences of teen pregnancy won't just be borne by young girls, but also by the young men who are the fathers. They too will have their dreams of going to college. Their entire future is totally upended by an unwanted pregnancy. If you and your partner are expecting a child, you will be right by her side at the checkups, terrified if her blood pressure is too high, or if there's an issue with the placenta, or if the ultrasound shows that the embryo was implanted in the wrong place, and the doctors aren't sure that they can intervene to keep the woman you love safe. If your wife is shivering and bleeding on the operating room table during a routine delivery gone bad, her pressure dropping as she loses more and more blood, or some unforeseen infection spreads and her doctors aren't sure if they can act, you will be the one praying that it's not too late. You will be the one pleading for somebody, anybody, to do something. And then there is the tragic but very real possibility that in the worst case scenario, you just might be the one holding flowers at the funeral. You might be the one left to raise your children alone. See, these are just some of the ways women die during childbirth. And I don't want to be a downer, y'all. But in many cases, there is no warning and things go bad very quickly. And when it happens, every second of hesitation or delay can lead to devastating outcomes. So I am asking y'all from the core of my being to take our lives seriously. Please, do not put our lives in the hands of politicians, mostly men, who have no clue or do not care about what we as women are going through.
So I ended up watching that whole thing because it's extremely compelling. Yeah, you can see, again, why Donald Trump is so intimidated by former First Lady Michelle Obama, why he's so upset that the Fox News network may have covered this portion of the speech because it's powerful, it's persuasive, and it could, not the speech itself necessarily, but the sentiment behind it, especially if conveyed enough and often, it could be outcome determinative. This is what Donald Trump fears, that the truth about his policies, his agenda, and his character are exposed, and she does a damn good job doing that. So masterful performance by former First Lady Michelle Obama. And I understand, again, why Donald Trump dreads her and dreads the fact that Fox News will indeed occasionally cover her. So in the meantime, let me know what you think in the comments.